The NASCAR Cup Series heads to Richmond International Raceway, and looked like it was going to be a very easy victory for a driver. Turned out to be a really close finish, and a driver picking up their second straight victory and winning their 60th career NASCAR Cup Series race. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching NASCAR Cup Series race from Richmond National Raceway, the Federer Auto Parts 400. We're going to talk about it. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So, before the green flag dropped in today's race, a couple drivers would have to drop to the rear, those being Harrison Burton and Bijan McLeod, who dropped to the rear for unapproved adjustments. So, at the start of the race, had Kyle Larson lead the field from the inside with Ross Chastain on the outside, and Ross Chastain got a really good run going to turn number 1 and passed Kyle Larson for the race lead and started pulling away. Then on lap 4, the first caution race would come out for Tyler Reddick, who spun from 22nd position after some contact with Ty Dillon, I believe going to turn number 3, spinning him out, bringing out the first caution of this race. So on the restart, you have Ross Chastain lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside, and Ross Chastain got a really good run and took the race lead. Then we saw some multi-groove racing. We saw some guys basically trying that upper groove, really using it. Guys like Christopher Bell and Kyle Busch, and even guys like Bubba also really trying a higher groove. But eventually the tires basically wore off, and Ross Chastain had a hard charge with Denny Hamlin near the end of stage 1, but he would hold off Denny Hamlin and win stage 1 here at Richmond. Then all the lead lap cars would come down pit road. There were some issues on pit road. Noah Gragson missed the box. Chase Briscoe had some issues, and Brad Exhausty were blocked leaving the box. Also, Alex Bowman had an issue getting the lug nut tied, and also Christopher Bell and Bubba Wallace had issues on pit road, but broadcast really did not notify us about that. So on the restart, had Ross Chastain lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside, and then Denny Hamlin basically fell to third position after trying to get around Ross Chastain for the lead, and Joey Logano got around them, and Larson dropped back. Then eventually Joey Logano got around Ross Chastain and passed him to get the race lead and took off. Then Cole Custer was having a really strong run early. He complained about some power steering issues and started falling back. And then Ross Chastain, who really dominated early, had some big issues, started falling back. Basically was complaining about an issue with the right rear of his car. And then basically we saw a really cool battle between Ty Gibbs and Kyle Busch for 16th position. They were going back and forth. There was contact back and forth, and it was really fun to watch. Eventually, Kyle Busch got around Ty Gibbs, but their Ty Gibbs really impressed me. Then green flag pit stops started happening in stage number 2. Christopher Bell came down pit road. Then Joey Logano came down pit road, and a couple other guys came down pit road as well. Then, meanwhile, about 20 laps later, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. tried to come down pit road and missed pit road, and then got into Martin Truex Jr. and got some damage, but luckily did not have a flat tire. Then Stenhouse, he came down pit road, and then Denny Hamlin and Chris Buescher came down pit road. And then once again, a few laps later, Logano and Larson did come back down pit road, and then Joey Logano was a leader, basically cycled back to the front. Then Ty Gibbs, was running 15th at the time, unfortunately had something major wrong with the car, and unfortunately fell out of the race due to those issues. And eventually, Martin Truex Jr. got back around Joey Logano as Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin were actually catching Joey Logano near the end of stage number 2. But Joey Logano would hold them off and win stage number 2. Then only lap cars would come down pit road, with Kyle Larson actually winning the race off pit road, and basically Logano getting second off of pit road. Then Christopher Bell basically would get waved around, and Austin Dillon would also get waved around. So on the restart, Kyle Larson lead the field from the inside with Joey Logano on the outside. Kyle Larson would get a great restart and take the race lead. Then in turn number 3, the caution come out on the restart for contact between Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch. Ross Chastain was just a racing incident to me. He was trying to give a little bit of room to Ty Dillon. Also, Eric Jones got a ton of damage as well. And Martin Truex Jr. also got damaged. To me, just a racing deal. Not really anything Ross could really do right there. I can't really put the blame on Ross Chastain, but he's pissed off a lot more drivers, including Martin Truex Jr. And then on the restart, you would have Kyle Larson lead the field from the inside with Joey Logano on the outside. And Joey Logano got a great restart this time and took the race lead. Then I believe the final caution race would come out lap 251 for Christopher Bell, who got onto the apron and basically spun out on his own, bringing out, I believe, the final caution in this race, and Austin would get the free pass. Then we have a bunch of guys come down the road, that being Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Ty Dillon, and Martin Truex Jr. all came down the road while the rest of the leaders stayed out. So on the restart, Joey Logano lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside, and Kyle Larson would try to get the lead, but Joey Logano would hold on. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson got a little bit loose, and then Denny Hamlin had contact with Larson 15 laps later, and had a little bit of contact right there. Then basically we saw some green flag pit stops start happening. Ryan Blaney came down first, then Kyle Larson, Austin Cindric came down the road, and then we continue to have pit stops Ty Dillon, unfortunately, would get a commitment line violation due to that. Basically missed the commitment and basically had a big penalty. Tough break for Ty Dillon. Had a really good day going. Unfortunate there. Then Chase Briscoe, he had to actually come back down pit road once because Chase Briscoe actually had a fire on the right side of the car. It was unclear what caught fire, maybe the foam on the car. We had issues with that at the Indy Road Course a couple of weekends ago, but he had basically a fire on the car. And then basically we actually saw a really good battle here late with around 70 laps to go between Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano. Joey Logano actually held off Kevin Harvick for a long time, but eventually a few laps later, Kevin Harvick got around Joey Logano and took the race lead. Then we started having green flag pit stops with 60 laps to go. Chris Buescher was actually running third at the time, having a really strong day. He started those green flag pit stops. Then Kevin Harvick basically came down pit road, and then Joey Logano came down pit road as well. Then meanwhile, a couple guys would stay out, that being Denny Hamlin, Christopher Martin Truex Jr. Larson came down pit road. Then Ryan Blaney came down, and then Martin Truex Jr. came down, and then eventually the final guys that come down pit road would be Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell. Denny Hamlin unfortunately had a bad pit stop, basically lost too much time at pit road, and this would cost him a shot at winning the race. Meanwhile, traffic really started coming into play with Kevin Harvick getting held up, and Chris Buescher actually tried to close in. It was really close to Kevin Harvick trying to basically steal a win and really shock the playoff grid by trying to get the win, but Kevin Harvick held him off. Meanwhile, near the end of the race, Christopher Bell really started coming on. Of course, Christopher Bell had 10 or 15 lap fresher tires than Kevin Harvick. He had fresher tires and was really starting to catch Kevin Harvick near the end. He got around Chris Buescher with 4 laps to go and started really running him down. Then Kevin Harvick had a little bit of traffic to get through, and this is what really helped Christopher Bell really close in. And coming to the white flag of the race, it was down to 8 or 9 tenths of a second. And basically, Harvick said he missed a shift going into turn number 1, and that's what helped Christopher Bell close in. Going into turn number 3, Christopher Bell was only 3 or 4 tenths back, and he tried to close in to get a run, but it would not be enough. And coming off the final corner, after being really quiet at the beginning of the season, Kevin Harvick comes off the corner and goes back-to-back and picks up his second win in 2022 and also his 60th career NASCAR Cup Series victory, becoming now the 9th driver to reach 60 victories in Cup. Kevin Harvick's really coming to life here in these last few weeks. He's been really strong really since we got him back from the break. Forth, he's been showing a lot more pace and speed. They weren't the dominant car today, but that car got really good on the long run, was quietly moving his way through the field, and absolutely deserved the win, in my opinion. Past Joey Logano late, really never relinquished lead except there. He nearly got beat by Christopher Bell near the end, but had the right strategy near the end and picked up a big victory. Kevin Harvick's second straight victory. Of course, we've got to wait for post-race inspection to go through. But congratulations to Kevin Harvick on picking up his 60th career victory and his second win of 2022. So now we're going to go through the results of today's race, and I'll give you my score and thoughts on today's race. So Kevin Harvick picks up the victory. Christopher Bell finishes second. After spinning, he nearly came back and won the race. If he had one more lap, he would have won this race. But still, an amazing day for Christopher Bell. A great comeback day after issues at Michigan. We'll probably talk about his comments from what he thought about Michigan. But he had a really strong run. Second place finisher, Christopher Bell. Great finish. Chris Buescher finishes third. I'm telling you, Chris Buescher's had a lot of races this year where he showed a lot of pace and speed. And a lot of us have been on the road courses. But today was really, really good. Had a chance to win and got a very solid top 5 finish. Ran in the top 10 pretty much all day long and got a very solid top 5 finish. Great run from Chris Buescher. Denny Hamlin finishes 4th. If Hamlin doesn't have that jack drop, I think he goes on to actually beat Kevin Harvick and get another win at Richmond. But Hamlin with a very solid top 5 finish. I'm telling you, Denny Hamlin's been coming alive here over the last few weeks. He's definitely been showing a lot more pace and speed and gets a very solid top 5 finish. Just can't continue having those mistakes on pit road. Chase Elliott finishes 5th. Chase Elliott was quiet most of the day, but he's quietly moving through the field. He didn't have the best car in the field for sure, but once again, did make up a ton of points. Now, Chase Elliott has not clinched a regular season championship. He's 116 points right now above the cutoff, basically above Ryan Blaney. He just has to only score 4 points in the next race to guarantee him basically locking it up. Chase Elliott with a very strong run gets a 5th place finish. Joey Logano finishes 6th. I think Logano had one of the strongest cars of the day. It's just near the end of the race with the cloud cover coming in. I really think that affected Joey Logano's car. But still does get a very solid top 10 finish. But they got to work on near the end of these races, closing out the deal with the win. Because they had a dominant car today, but they finished 6th regardless. Marchex Jr. finishes 7th. Kind of disappointing for Marchex Jr., not going to lie. They did improve as the race progressed, but man, Marchex Jr. was not on the same level as I thought he was going to be and lost points to Ryan Blaney today. I think Marchex Jr. really is going to have to win Watkins Glen, and this might have been his best chance to win now because Marchex Jr., this is the best opportunity to win, and he kind of blew it today. He finishes 7th, though. Eric Almirola, a very solid top 10 run. Almirola had a top 5 car most of the day, and it's good to see that he had a good run today. Almirola, of course, unclear if he'll be back next year or not, but does get a very solid top 10 finish. Had a top 5 car, but still gets a solid top 10. Kyle Busch finishes 9th. Considering how bad Kyle Busch has been running, this is Kyle Busch's first top 10 since he's really gotten back from the break and ends that lack of finishing a top 10 streak, of course, pending post-race inspection. Does get a 9th place finish. Not a great day for Kyle Busch, but he'll probably take having a top 10 at the end of the day. Ryan Blaney finishes 10th. Blaney had a decent day, not fantastic, but did gain points on Marchex Jr., just doing what he's got to do, and basically still is in the playoffs currently at the moment. He finishes in 10th. William Byron finishes decent in 11th position, not a bad run. Austin Eric was quiet today. He finishes in 12th. Bubba Wallace ends his top 10 streak, but still has finished in the top 15 now in 6 consecutive races. Bubba Wallace had a decent day. Was kind of struggled early, but they fixed the car, got better as the day went on. They need a little more pace and speed to have a shot at a top 10, but they still get a solid top 15 finish. I think Bubba Wallace has definitely been showing a lot more pace, so, and does finish 13th. Not a great day, but not a bad day for Bubba. Kyle Larson finishes 14th. I have no idea what happened to Kyle Larson's car. He had a top 3 car in the first 250 laps, and the car just completely died at the end of the day. I don't know what's going on with this 5 team, but it's been kind of a struggle for the 5 team. They started on the pole, had a pretty good Nationals, except that, and now Larson finished 14th. Kind of disappointing for sure that Larson didn't get a better finish, but he finished in 14th. Brad Keselowski finishes 15th. Keselowski kind of fell off near the end of the race, too, because Keselowski was running in the top 5 early. It was in the top 10 the majority of the day. Just seemed like they had issues, but they did get 15th. Not a great run, but not a terrible run compared to his teammate. Austin Dillon finished at 16th. Way better considering where they were at the beginning of the race. Austin Dillon's struggle was almost outside the top 30. So for him to get a top 20 finish is not terrible, all things considered. Ty Dillon finished at 17th. I think Ty Dillon had generally from start to finish his best run of the year. He did really good today, was most of the day contending for a top 10. If he doesn't have that commitment line violation, I believe he potentially gets top 10 finish today. So I had a solid run. Still finished 17th, but man, tough break for Ty Dillon. Ross Chastain finished 18th. Chastain had damage from the caution earlier in the day, and then basically Chastain just didn't have a good car near the end of the day. Dominated early, but finished 18th. Not a great run from Ross Chastain. Daniel Suarez finishes 19th. He also got a struggle today, too. Tough break for Daniel Suarez, but I'm telling you, this 99 team will be an underdog in the playoffs for sure. He's got to work on a little more pace of these shorter type tracks, but he finished in 19th. Alex Bowman once again with another really bad struggling race. He finishes in 20th, not a great run. Justin Haley finishes 21st. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishes 22nd. Chase Briscoe, I know he had fire issues, which is a tough break for him, but man, finishing 23rd after having a top 5 car. Ouch. Noah Gragson finishes 24th. Harrison Burr finishes 25th. Cole Custer finishes 26th. I know I've given Cole Custer a lot of crap this year, but I really feel bad for Cole Custer with the power steering issues. I think Cole Custer actually is having a really good run today. It's a shame he didn't get the finish he deserved, but he does get 26th. It is what it is. Just got to try to figure out what's going on because it's been a rough year for Cole Custer. Todd Gilliam was in the top 21 point. He finishes in 27th. Corey LaJoie finishes 28th. I expect a little bit better for him, not going to lie. Michael McDowell finishes 29th. Landon Castle finishes in 30th. Tyler Reddick, after his issues, finishes 31st. J.J. Lee finishes 32nd. BJ McLeod finishes 33rd. Cody Ware finishes 34th. 35th place finisher Eric Jones after crashing out. And finishing last in 36th is Ty Gibbs, who unfortunately had an engine problem that took him out of contention. Tough break for Ty Gibbs. Had a top 15 potential run, but it is what it is. So now we're overall talk about this race as a whole and give you my score for today's race. This race was better than the spring race. There was a lot more multi-groove racing for sure. I think with the track being a little bit hotter and hotter temperatures, I really think that helped this race at Richmond. I will say that the field strategy near the end made this race really, really intriguing. It really came down to the line. Again, this race is really, really solid. It wasn't fantastic, but this race is definitely way better than the truck race last night. At least we saw passes for the lead. And man, this next-gen car has gotten better on the shorter ovals, in my opinion, and we saw a pretty solid race, in my opinion. I'm going to give today's NASCAR Cup Series race view from Richmond National Speedway overall an 8 out of 10. Like I said, racing was very, very solid. It wasn't fantastic, but I was hoping for a good race today, and I think the race delivered, in my opinion. Very solid race for sure. Better than the spring race, 8 out of 10. Now, just because today's race is good does not mean this track still deserves today's. I know the crowd today was actually pretty good. It actually looked really solid. But man, this track only deserves one day. Was given another track, but still, thought today's race is solid. 8 out of 10 is the score for me. So anyway, that is it for today's NASCAR Cup Series race review from Richmond International Raceway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notification on to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Ask for me on Patreon as well. Link description below over that and comment with your thoughts on today's race. What are your thoughts on today's race? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments. And congratulate Kevin Harvick on picking up the victory and getting a second straight victory. Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow on my channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video. We've got some stuff to talk about. Not as much as normal, but we do have stuff we're going to definitely talk about for sure. Tuesday will either be a race picks video or a silly season update. Just keep your notifications on because that might be coming out Tuesday. Wednesday will be a NASCAR news video. Thursday either will be the silly season update or the race picks video. And then Friday will be another NASCAR news video along with maybe some other content that's on the way as well. And then this weekend, of course, Watkins Glen. Cannot wait for that. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.